You can ask at the Akashic Records, like, where am I supposed to get this, this money to pay off, the IA. Did an Akashic record reading, and I asked the balasanths, I go, so where am I going to get this money from? I'm like, to pay for September and December IA. And it was really interesting because I asked where am I supposed to get this money from? Their answer was, Ma, you're going to have it paid off 3.5 weeks after you return from Sadashivoham, which was the December program. And I'm going, I didn't ask that. I asked where. I didn't ask when. And I went, okay, evidently the cosmos knows something I don't. Anyway, I'm paying it off as much as I can, on my own and stuff. But it was pretty much just sitting there. I actually missed my flight out of St. Louis because I was trying to quit my job. Because I didn't have one day covered for when I was going to be gone. And my boss and I had an agreement that I had to have every shift covered before I left. Well, I didn't have one Saturday covered. So I just went ahead and wrote my letter of resignation and handed it in, and he wasn't available to talk to, so I left. And then he called me and said, Debbie, he's like, this is ridiculous. He's like, you got them all covered except for one? I go, yes, all except for one. He's like, I think we could handle one day. I go, but we had an agreement. I'm like, we needed all of them covered is what you told me, because I had taken all of my vacation days for the previous IA. I didn't have it enough to cover for that next 22, 23 days when I was going to be gone in December. And he goes, really? He's like, I think we can manage this. And I'm like going, okay, all right. He's like, get on your plane. I go, I hope I make it. Anyway, and I didn't. Anyway, but that was okay. Hindsight's 2020. So I was at the airport trying to get on this plane and doing all this rescheduling and whatnot, and it just didn't come to fruition. So about 6:30 in the evening, I call my husband. I go, come pick me up at the airport. Anyway, so him and the kids came, and they were so excited. They're like, yay, Mommy didn't go to India. And I'm like, no, Mommy's going to India. Mommy came home so that I can have internet access so that I can buy a plane ticket to India. So I came home and I rebooked my flight. Lost some money on it, but I rebooked it. But my husband had sent me an email that night as I was rebooking flights, and he goes, call our financial advisor, make an appointment, see if you can have her find a mutual fund that you can have the money to pay off your credit card debt, which means that you can pay off IA. And that is the piece of information that I needed before I left to really truly put me at peace so that I could be on the plane and that I could actually, go to Sadashivoham knowing that all was taken care of. So as I was sitting at the airport the next day, I called and made an appointment, and that appointment was the day after I came back from December IA, and we found a mutual fund that had gone awry, let's say. It was in the red, and so we cashed it in. Of course, it took a while for that to process, but it was pretty much the exact amount that I needed. I mean, there were maybe a couple $1,000s more, but that's okay. And then, so I was just toggling along, waiting for the paperwork to process so that I could pay off my credit card bill. And we just happened to be in downtown Chicago the weekend of Martin Luther King weekend, anyway, the holiday, which was like January 15th or something like that. And I was looking for a store that morning before we left to find wrapping paper, because my niece's birthday was around that time and we wanted to give her a birthday present before we left. So I was looking for like a Walgreens or a CVS or something. Well, I didn't find one, but what I did find was the headquarter building of the company of the mutual fund that I had cashed in. And I kid you, and I went, oh, that's interesting. I'm like, there's the company. And then I started figuring out a few days later that day was exactly 3.5 weeks after I got back from Sadashivoham. Now, it wasn't quite paid off yet, but the money was ready in the bank for me to pay about that time anyway. But it was interesting that I actually saw the headquarter building of that company that morning.